This video is brought to you by Mando. Their products are revolutionary in personal care, offering up to 72 hours of odor control. Seriously, I love them. Ladies and gentlemen, John and I, we just finished watching Deadpool and Wolverine maybe like 10 minutes ago. First thing I'm going to ask you guys, please leave a like on this video. That would mean a lot. Second thing I'm going to tell you all is that John and I, we were with a bunch of critics today. But on Friday, 6:45 p.m. Universal City Walk IMAX, we're going to be there. And if you're there, please say hi.
The only critics who matter.
Thirdly, we don't want to spoil jack about this movie for you. This is going to be one of our shortest out-of-the-theater reviews we've ever done.
This was, in fact, a movie. Deadpool and Wolverine were both in it.
And it's been a while, a long while, since I've wanted to deep dive into spoilers because of the experience we just had. So Monday, Coy, John, and myself are going to be doing a live stream. We don't know how long it's going to go for. It's also going to be after Comic-Con, so we're going to have so much to talk about. I'll just give you my first feeling of when I left the theater. Overwhelmed in all the right way. I literally just got nipple chills saying it. I felt goosebumps go through my whole
multiversal
body
nipple chills.
That reached a point where my heart just couldn't take it anymore. Like, I don't want to overhype anything.
He needed CPR, though. It was a whole thing.
I had to get an IV.
We had to jump him back to life.
I woke up and I'm
Ryan
like,
Reynolds ran
are
in.
we still at AMC?
Was like, where is my number one fan that I may resuscitate him?
It's like, if you were there, you wouldn't call this overhyping. But because you weren't there, you might be like, you're overhyping it. I just got to be honest with you guys about my emotions. I was overstimulated. I cheered. At moments, it just like was bursting out of me. And yeah, it's going to be really hard to talk about this without spoiling Jack. So John, like in the trailers, they have like, okay, Deadpool has a threat to his world.
You did some timey-wimeys, and the TVA noticed that, and so your world might be in jeopardy, so you got to come help us out and fix it if you want the people who you care about to maybe not be obliterated.
That's not even like really the plot.
It's not even, that's not the whole, that's
the
thing
crazy
that
part about
off.
the movie.
Yeah. That's where we start at, and then we go a whole bunch of places from there. But if you want the most simple distillation.
And he needs the help of Wolverine for a very specific purpose.
Those bucks, baby.
And they make it clear that in the movie that they make it clear in the movie that there will be some multiversal stuff involved.
Some madness.
All we'll say is, I think, without spoiling anything, it's the best multiverse movie that Marvel has easily done.
This does feel like it delivers on the promise of madness that the title of Doctor Strange 2 had us in for and didn't maybe necessarily deliver on. This feels like it is bursting at the seams. It is getting metatextual. It's throwing obviously things you maybe wanted and or didn't know you wanted at you, and yet it's still keeping all of that contained to some degree inside of the story that's happening.
But the movie is not just great because of like throwing candy at the screen. They do stuff with the candy all the time.
Nothing ever they never plop anything in front of frame to just be like, see? All right, moving on now.
They make use out of everything. They don't waste. Deadpool, one of the things I think a lot of people had a concern about is, will Ryan Reynolds hold back? There is no holding back. It's like there was one joke where the audience went, "Oh, you know that one?"
Shots were fired.
I was like, they're in on the joke, guys. Right?
Yeah.
But the joke was like, "Oh."
We were sitting there during She-Hulk being like, damn, they let them say some stuff. And then we heard from the writers of She-Hulk, they were like, they made us walk some of that stuff back. And this movie certainly didn't feel like they made them walk stuff back.
They make fun of the way fans have been responding to stuff. They make fun of personal life things.
The business and how the particular stretch of Marvel we're in has been going.
It's hilarious. It's a hilarious movie. And to me, it's the best usage of the fourth wall break and meta-ness that Deadpool inhabits out of all the Deadpool movies.
It feels more like a living organism than just like a gimmick of the movie.
And it doesn't feel like ADR over masks or improv. Like, it really feels like they really even thought those jokes out.
Yeah.
Like, those jokes even have so much content, like so well edited. The violence. It's violent.
Woo!
It's very, very, very violent.
A lot of crotch stabs, boy.
A lot of crotch stabbing.
And a lot of other stuff, too.
I don't know what it was with the crotch stabbing.
A lot of gore and viscera.
There's like sexual jokes, but there's not really any sexual things. That's the one part of Disney.
Really pulling punches, Marvel.
That's the one part. I don't know where they would have used it.
They made a big deal. I think that's why they made such a big deal in the trailer about like, they won't let us talk about drugs to hide the fact that we won't see anyone get graphically pegged in this one.
But it's still very vulgar. It's still very irreverent.
It's gleefully so.
Of course, the man of the hour, the return of the Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
Yes.
My one little concern when I was watching this movie, the tiniest concern.
Careful.
is
Marvel Jesus is listening.
Marvel Jesus is listening. We were a good portion of the way into the movie. I started thinking, this doesn't really feel like a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. This kind of feels like Deadpool and you can't spoil anything. Other stuff movie.
Deadpool and a whole lot happening movie.
And it felt like Wolverine was just part of that other stuff happening.
Sure.
But then eventually the movie, for a lot of it, does become definitively a Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Reject Nation, some of you guys have been so kind to point out, Greg, you look like you've been getting in better shape lately. And Greg, you look like you've been pointing that out a lot more than we've been pointing that out lately. That's because I've been getting products that have allowed me to casually mention that. But with all that exercise comes a lot of sweat, and let's be honest, nobody wants to smell bad, especially when we're in close quarters filming proximity to one another. That's why I've been using the Mando products. Heard a lot about them, and I was like, please send them my way. And as a vegetarian, it makes me so happy that they are all natural. They're high quality, and man, do they get the job done. First up, the Mando whole body. There's a little hair here. Ew, that's gross. The Mando whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere. Why wouldn't it be? It's deodorant. It controls odor for up to 72 hours. Keeps me fresh and feeling confident. Now my wife finally cuddles with me. This next one I really like. The Mando Invisible Cream Deodorant Pro Sport. Cream is perfect for intense workouts. Keeps you dry, smelling great without residue. My wife finally holds hands with me in public. This one's straight out of the shower. The Mando Acidified Cleansing Bar. It's fantastic. 4-in-1 powerhouse for shampoo, face wash, body wash, and deodorant. It leaves my skin fresh and clean, and my wife finally lets me shower in the same shower she uses. I don't have to go to the hotel anymore. For quick refreshes, the Mando deodorant wipes. Perfect for on the go, gentle on the skin, and my wife finally let me meet the in-laws after using them. And lastly, the Mando body wash. Provides a rich lather and 24-hour odor control. The scent is incredible and leaves my skin smooth. My wife actually calls me by my name in the bedroom now. If you want to stay fresh and confident, get Mando. You can get $5 off of the Mando starter pack with code REJECTS at shopmando.com. That's 40% off. Trust me, you and everyone around you will appreciate it. You can use code REJECTS at shopmando.com and get $5 off your starter pack. So stay fresh, everyone. Or did she call me Steven? That was gross. That was my father's name. Out of the Marvel movies, out of all the Deadpool movies for sure, this feels like a true comic book movie. There's this one fight scene that I feel like people are going to be talking about for a very long time. Like the fight with Deadpool and Wolverine that they tease in the trailer is great, but there's this other fight that they don't show any of in the trailer.
No, and thankfully so.
Thankfully, thank
surprises.
God. Yeah,
remember
God.
Surprises, Gary?
Yeah. Thank God they don't show any of that stuff there.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in wait, both for how like well choreographed and you know punchy, for lack of a better non-pun, you know, the action itself is, but again, also the different figures and players and elements that are incorporated into those fights and into the sprawl of the story. Like, part of me almost at the beginning, I was like, I wonder if this is just going to feel like a Days of Future Past, but with multiverses instead of time travel. But like, it really feels like its own sort of wild adventure, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, the first two Deadpool movies feel comic book appropriately, but they definitely feel like action movies that are made out of comic books, whereas this did feel like a comic book come to life, and just how like zany and wild and sort of imaginative and goofy things are,
and picturesque wise too.
Yeah, it looks nice. It looks like they bothered to shoot in some actual locations and build some actual scenery. There's madness and there's humor. Sometimes the madness and the humor are also simultaneously colliding with pathos and with, you know, like the actual themes of the story in ways that are really like, you see the 5 writer credit, and on any other movie you'd be like, I don't know, but like here it really felt like a few people got together and really hammered this sword and folded it until it was shit out of it. And I'm sure they had to reshoot whatevers, and I'm sure they had to tool stuff around, but it definitely doesn't feel like a victim of that very much.
God, no. This movie feels like thought out and structured well, full of surprises. Cassandra Nova, the villain that is teased here, you know, she's not like the most threatening villain. You probably wouldn't expect that out of a Deadpool movie, honestly.
Sure.
I'd argue she's probably the best villain out of the Deadpool movies, and she's a really good villain. The actress is better.
I loved watching her.
I think the actress is better than actually feeling threatening, but it's hard to feel super threatening in a Deadpool movie. But she's great. She's got some like horror moments that, and I think really add to bringing out more depth of our main characters.
Yeah, and not to, she's absolutely got presence, and it's not one of those movies that's only about vanquishing the big villain or whatever. It's a part of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're really big hoping for like Cassandra Nova to captivate most of the movie, you might be left wanting. But I really liked what she brought here, and they do some very distinct and unsettling things with her abilities, and I loved her characterization of that.
And Paradox, really fun. That's all I'll say.
Matthew
It's really fun.
McFadden,
Really
very fun to watch.
Can't spoil anything.
Good
really
for
fun.
him.
Really fun.
Really having a good time.
Violence, great. Comedy, great. Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, excellent.
There are
amazing,
surprises.
amazing. Plenty of surprises.
You'll laugh, you'll cry,
and
you'll cream.
I'll say, like, it may not be like the cinephile movie. It may not be like a Dune 2 or a Furiosa or a Longlegs or something. I can't imagine a movie that is gonna be more entertaining than this film. Like, I've seen some pretty entertaining movies this year, and this movie, I'm like, there's no way I could fathom a movie being more entertaining than this. So just by that standard alone, I would put it as like my favorite movie of the year so far.
It's such a blast
because it is so goddamn fun. I loved it. I really, really loved it. It felt like Marvel magic.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It manages its chaos well, and I think that, it's weird. Thinking about the event that this is and the amount of hype, it reminds me of watching a Spider-Man No Way Home, but I thought that they both have all this multiversal chaos stuff happening and all sorts of moving pieces and surprises, but I actually thought this, while Spider-Man No Way Home might reach a greater emotional height for some viewers, I thought this actually somehow made a more conscientious, like, actual story in the nuts and bolts of it, which is kind of impressive. So well done to them.
Absolutely loved it, guys.
Overwhelmed in the best way.
Overwhelmed. Can't wait for you to watch it. Can't wait to talk about it on Monday. Please go ahead and check out that live stream. Spoiler, you chime in with us on the live stream. And if you're going to be at City Walk, please say hi. Thank you, Reject Nation. Leave a like on your way out. Let us know what your favorite Deadpool Wolverine thing is, or who you'd want to see them team up with or fight against in the future. Let us know.
Yeah.